So your consciousness around any topic is everything. Whether you want to create something in your life, whether you change something, your consciousness, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, all of that is your consciousness. And that is what determines whether you will have that thing or not. So in this video, I'll talk about consciousness, why it's important, and how you can start to take control of the consciousness that you have around certain life areas. This is Pooja Eldiman. I am a life coach, spiritual mentor. I work with the chakra system and energy, and I combine it with mindset and techniques from neuroscience so that you can actually coach yourself and become empowered to change your life. So consciousness. Now, sometimes I'm talking to people, and you've probably had this situation too. In fact, I had it happen recently with a friend who said, you know, I really want to live in this really nice house. I really don't like where I'm living. I feel really stressed out in my current home because my neighbours are really noisy, and there's really the people that live in my building don't take care of the hallway. But it's okay. It's okay. You know, I don't mind being there, but I really am not happy being there. I want to be somewhere different. But it's okay. I can deal with it. And I'm listening to this conversation and thinking, where is your consciousness? Where is your consciousness? Now, what I mean is, okay, I'm listening to this conversation just like the universe might be listening to this conversation. So you're saying on the one hand, you want to go and live in this new house, okay? You want to live in this new house. You want to live in this new house. How much attention are you giving in your consciousness to the new house? How much attention is that getting? Versus how much attention you're giving to the feeling that you're getting in your current home and how much you dislike it. Because all you're doing in your consciousness is you're cementing those thoughts and feelings of, I don't like where I live, the neighbours are really loud, people don't take care of my building, everything around me is falling apart, The more you're saying that, the more you're embedding that into your consciousness. You're repeating those thoughts and feelings on a loop. So this person was finding it really difficult to find a new place to move to. And the reason they were stuck is because the consciousness is so focused on what's wrong with the current place. The consciousness has not moved into the new home already. So if you want to move and you want to go into a new home, you have to put your consciousness there first. You almost have to start acting as if your consciousness has to go there before you. So your consciousness has to move into the new house before you physically do. So this is actually all law of attraction, and it's just a different way of saying it. When you think about the law of attraction, what do they say? They say act as if. Start to behave as if that thing is already in your life. So your consciousness needs to start living in the new home. In your mind, in your thoughts, you need to actually forget about how much your current property is bothering you. Yes, it's going to be a bit difficult, but every time you catch yourself doing it, remember, the more you focus on the things you don't want, the more you're getting them. The more you focus on the lack of not having your new home, not being in your new home, you're getting more lack. You're getting more of that, and you're getting more of that, and you're getting more of that, and you're cementing that position. So your consciousness moves into the new house. What happens to your thoughts and feelings? You start imagining in your new home. You imagining you're there already. You start to really walk around your existing home almost as if you're walking around the new home. If you're using, I don't know, I can see my kettle over there. When you're making a cup of tea, imagine that same kettle is in your new home. Your consciousness has already gone and moved into the new home. And then remember, energy travels faster than physical matter. So according to the law of attraction, according to quantum physics, once something is created in energy, it will eventually be created into form as well. But first we have to create it in energy and consciousness. So the consciousness has to live in that reality, in that new home, and spend the majority of its time there. Start to really imagine that new home. Start to imagine being there. Start to imagine what the front door would look like. Start to just imagine your day-to-day, how it would change, what you would be enjoying. Bring in some joy into this visualization of this change of consciousness. What clothes would you wear? Would they change? Would it be different? Live the consciousness of the version of you that's in that new house. Okay? So your consciousness is everything. Now, if you're someone who's perhaps single, but wants to be someone who's married, what is the consciousness of a married person? What are the thoughts? What are the feelings? What are the emotions? So if you're single and you're thinking about your singleness and you're thinking about not being with somebody and you're thinking about how alone you are, you're getting more and more of that. You need to actually shift and take your consciousness. It's going to feel a little bit artificial when you first do it, okay? But I have a really good friend who's been married now probably for over 20-something years. And her piece of advice to me was, she said, you know, if you're single, start to go about your day-to-day as if that person is with you, living your life with you. So do the same thing, right? And she actually did it and met and married her husband within months. So it was a really very quick getting together and getting married. But she was doing this and practicing this every day. She was living the consciousness of the person who is married. Because to be that person, to manifest that thing, we have to be in the consciousness of it as if we are living it, because we're training ourselves in that process to be that person for whom it's normal to be living in that great house, for whom it's normal to be married. Yeah? So I did this as well before I became a coach. I was working as a lawyer and I really wanted to make it as a coach. So I knew that my consciousness as a lawyer, my day-to-day as a lawyer, if I thought about it and how much it frustrated me, and if I didn't want that, I'd get more. So I started living in the consciousness of the coach. And I started doing it in my mind. Well, what would my day look like? What would I spend my time doing? How would I spend my free time? Who would I be hanging out with? What kinds of conversations would I have? I wanted to live the consciousness of that person. And actually it's turned out exactly the way I designed it in my consciousness. And that always happens. Because it's like your brain is training. This actually comes not just from the spiritual world, but also from science. So it's brain, and it's the brain that's training itself to live in that reality, in the consciousness of that reality. You're playing it on a loop. You're watching an internal movie. And when you do that more and more and more and more and more, you magnetize that, you start to attract that. Okay? It gets the brain, the reticular activating system of the brain. If you're familiar with that part, great. If you're not, don't worry about the technical side. It gets the brain to start to find things that are going to help you get there. You start to filter out everything you need to get you to your goal. Okay, so an example is my friend, when she started actually living in the consciousness of the person who was in the relationship, she started to see the options in front of her of the men who were actually going to build that with her, who were going to become that person for her. And then she was very quickly able to identify, filter out the ones who weren't, and identify the ones that were. In the same way, when I was working as a lawyer and I was living in the consciousness of a coach, because I was already in that place, I started to see opportunities. I started to see who could help me get to that place where I wanted to get to, where I wanted to be in a few years' time. I started to magnetize opportunities, but also to spot them. So your consciousness has to shift. Think about anything you want to create. Go into the consciousness of the thing that you want to create. So when it's done, go into that consciousness. If you're not sure what the consciousness of that looks like, it feels really alien to you, sit and journal about it. What would my thoughts be? What would I say to myself? What would my self-talk be? What would my emotional state be? How would I dress? How would I look? What would I do differently? And then start to do those things. You don't have to do all of them day one, but incorporate one or two things. I really like to daydream and manifest in that way. I like to play in the consciousness of that thing I want to create. So anything I'm trying to create right now in my life, I'm already trying to live in the consciousness of that person, that version of me that has created it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do like, comment, subscribe and share. It's all about consciousness. Once we change the consciousness, everything changes. It is the secret to life. It's the absolute key to life. So go have fun. The power that you need is within you. Take control of it. Take agency, take responsibility, and watch your life transform. This is Pooja Eldiman. It's been great to speak to you today, and I'll be back soon. Bye.